Welcome to Whiskey Nightcaps, the channel where we do sip sometimes before sleep, sometimes or we stay up and keep on sipping. And I am your host, Jason Davis, and today we are talking about Old Elk Wheat Whiskey. Let's go. All right, before we get into the particularities of this particular whiskey, I need you to please hit that subscribe button if you already haven't done that. Hit that notification bell and smash the like button because the algorithms are hating on your boy, so leave a comment. Now, Old Elk is a distillery that is out of Colorado. They seem to be a fairly new kid on the block. Right now they have 4 expressions that are available, which is a straight rye whiskey. Hold on, I can't get it out. Straight rye whiskey, a blended bourbon, a wheated bourbon, and then also a wheat whiskey. Now, Greg Metz is their master distiller, and he is coming from Indiana, I believe from MGP, and if I'm not mistaken, they're sourcing some of their whiskey from MGP as well, so that relationship makes sense. If anybody knows anything different, please tell me down below. Now, this wheat whiskey is 95% red winter wheat and 5% malted barley. So that malted barley really is doing absolutely nothing besides serving as a catalyst for fermentation because malted barley produces sugar or provides sugar to the mash. These bottles are aged for a minimum of 5 years. So 5-year wheat whiskey. Beautiful bottle. It has a beautiful cork that looks like a tree stump. I don't know if you can see that. Gives it that old world appeal. Now it is 100 proof, so that's 50% ABV, which for me is a sweet spot. I love 100 proof whiskey because that ABV is not too much, but also not too little. You know, you don't really have to add any water to 50%, but you can if you want to. But for me, that's the sweet spot. That's the G spot. Now, as I was looking at this bottle, it actually on the back says 6 years. The website says 5 years, but on the back of this bottle, it says 6 years. So an additional year, even more, even better. Now, I have a couple of other wheat whiskeys in the stash. I have Bernheim, and I also have a Woodford Reserve wheat whiskey. So in my mind, I'll be comparing it to those two to see how it stands up. And then maybe I'll come back later and do a shootout, a blind shootout between all 3. Let me know if that's something you're interested in. Are you guys into wheat whiskey? Have you had any? Like, let me know your experience with wheat whiskey. I was very excited to get this bottle. I really wanted to try this. So hopefully it lives up to the hype of my expectation. All right, so let's take a look at this. 6-year whiskey. Has a beautiful, beautiful amber color from sitting in that barrel. I don't know what number char they use. And you know, they're, like I said, they may be sourcing the rye whiskey from MGP, but I don't know MGP to do wheat whiskey, so possibly they're distilling that themselves. Let's go to the nose on this one. Smells sweet. Vanilla, has a syrup kind of smell, but not like a maple syrup, but like a store-bought type of syrup. Then the ethanol hits. Woo! You know, that ethanol is definitely present. You know, it's been resting for a few minutes, so I would have thought that would have dissipated by now. Sugary, sweet kind of smell, but not a lot of layers. There is some cinnamon there, which I assume would come from that 6 years in the barrel because we know that there's no rye in this whiskey. Overall, like I said, it's pleasant. It has a very sweet smell, but like I said, that ethanol is present, so do not get too close. However, I will say, you know, when it comes to wheat whiskey, I guess the softness of that wheat whiskey allows for that ethanol to really shine through because that is not isolated to this particular whiskey. I picked that up a lot on the Woodford Reserve as well. I just want to give it another shot, make sure, you know, I'm not missing anything. That's about it. We're not going to go reaching for things that are not there. It's clinging to this glass very nicely. But like we always say here at the Whiskey Nightcaps channel, it's all about the taste. So the smell can be great, the texture can be great, but how is it on the tongue? All right, so this is very sweet, very sweet. I'm getting like almost like an agave type of taste, or very sugar, syrupy, sweet taste. The ethanol is there a little bit on the finish. You do get some of that barrel spice there as well, mixed in with the vanilla. We're gonna let this sit just for a second. Now the tongue has become acclimated to the whiskey, and go back in and see if there's anything else possibly that we're missing. All right, in the words of Apollo Creed, ding, ding. It's round 2, baby. Let's go back into this Glencairn, see what's happening with this old elk. Seems like the ethanol has softened up a bit. That's great. It almost smells like Maker's Mark. I guess that, duh, right? It's red winter wheat, which is one of the ingredients in the Maker's Mark mash bill. I believe it's like 17% red winter wheat. So it has that, bourbony without rye kind of smell to it. In the words of Willie D, no more talk. Let's go in. That is unique. That is unique and a little bit hard to describe. It's a flavor that I'm not necessarily familiar with. If you do not like sweet whiskeys, and I hear that complaint all the time from people reviewing whiskeys, they'll say it's too sweet. And a lot of these whiskeys that they're talking about, I'm like, the hell are you talking about? It's not that sweet. But this is definitely 100% sweet. This is something like if you were trying to introduce your girlfriend into whiskey and you wanted to soften her up and not hit her with some rye, like right off the top or something like that, you could give her something like this. Or if you were getting ready for a night of whiskey, this could, be a starter to get the palate kind of going, or an aperitif, something to, have after dinner. It almost has like a liqueur, like a honey whiskey liqueur type of taste to it. It does have a decent finish to it. It's still going, but it's like if somebody took honey and mixed sugar into the honey, that's kind of like what this is. Like you want to put this on a biscuit or something. All right, so what's the verdict? The judges are in. Now, like I said, if you do not like sweet whiskeys, I am advising you, warning, warning, danger, Will Robinson, stay away from this whiskey. You will not like it. However, if that doesn't bother you, then this would definitely be something to give a shot. Oh, some vanilla is coming up through that nasal cat, to that olfactory. There's some vanilla coming up. Now, I can tell you honestly, just being 100% honest with you guys, because I don't like to just shoot a bunch of sugar honey iced tea to you. I couldn't sit here and drink this all night. I couldn't do that, right? I wouldn't have like 3 glasses of this, but I wouldn't mind, like I said, just having one to kind of get the night started, or one to end things off if I've already had like a bunch of barrel proofs and stuff like that. Something just to set the palate straight. Like I said, you can eat this with, not eat this. You can't eat whiskey, hopefully you can't. You could drink this with your dessert after you've had a decent meal, and it's good to go. So it's not bad by a long shot, but I know that the sweetness for a fact will be off-putting for a lot of you. All right, man, so thank you for rocking out with your boy, Jason Davis, Whiskey Nightcaps. We will be back, but for now, we're out, sucker. I'm in the mood for love, simply because you're near me.